You think it's about talent? No, it's about what happens when you're alone in the room with yourself and nobody's watching. There's a place most people never go, a mental space where comfort dies and obsession lives. That's where I live. I found it years ago, and I've never left. Every morning, I step into that darkness deliberately, not because it feels good, because that's where real work happens. People talk about passion. They say, follow your passion. That's backwards. Passion is what you feel. Discipline is what you do when passion leaves the building at 3 in the morning and you're still training. That's the separation. That's the canyon between ordinary and exceptional. Now, you want to know how you access a different version of yourself? You don't wait for it to show up. You build it. You construct it brick by brick in your mind until it becomes more real than reality itself. For me, it's a ritual. The same every single time. I disconnect from the world, physically, mentally, everything. The outside noise has to die. No phone, no distractions, no people, just me and the work. And in that silence, I flip a switch. The casual version of me, gone. The person who makes excuses, dead. What emerges is something singular, something focused, something that cannot be stopped. People see the result and they think it's magic. It's not. It's construction. It's programming your brain to understand one simple truth. When these conditions are met, you become this version of yourself. An actor preparing for a role doesn't just walk on a stage and pretend. He lives it. He breathes it. He becomes it. That's what separates performance from presence. When I'm in that state, the world doesn't exist. Sound becomes irrelevant. Distractions are invisible. There is only the objective, the mission, the thing you've committed to doing. Everything else, every voice, every doubt, every external pressure, it's background noise in a language you no longer speak. Here's what they don't tell you. Your limits are a story you believe, not a fact. Humans, we have a narrative problem. We hear something once. You can only go so far. This is the maximum. That's impossible. And we build a wall around it. Then we spend our entire lives defending that wall instead of breaking through it. Physical limits? Sure, some exist. But mental limits? Those are just stories with good advertising. If you can go 4 rounds, you can go 6. You don't magically gain new muscles between round 4 and round 6. You tap into a different part of your mind, the part that understands something fundamental. The voice telling you to stop is a liar. If you can push for 30 minutes, you can push for an hour. It feels impossible at the 30-minute mark. It feels like your body is shutting down. None of that is true. What's true is that your comfort zone ends at minute 30 and everything beyond that requires you to step into uncertainty. Most people, they turn back at that threshold. The ones who don't, they discover the threshold was always 10 miles past where they thought it was. Do this for months. Do this for years. The separation between you and everyone else becomes immeasurable. Not because they're weaker, but because you've rewritten what you believe is possible. They celebrate the wins, the highlights, the moment you cross the finish line. But they never show you the 4 a.m. mornings when nobody's awake, when your alarm goes off and your body screams for rest, when every part of you wants to stay in that warm bed while the world sleeps. That's the real moment. That's where champions are built, not in the spotlight, in the dark, in the cold, in the moment when you have to choose between what feels good right now and what you actually want. I've never done this for external rewards. If that was the goal, I would have quit years ago. There's always someone offering less work for more money. There's always a compromise. The people who take those deals, they never become the best at anything. They become comfortable. And comfort is the grave of potential. The real reward is invisible. It's in the gym when it's empty. It's in the proof that you outworked every single person on the planet. It's in the knowledge that when it matters most, you've done more preparation than anyone else. That's a confidence that can't be faked. Let me show you something, the math of how ordinary people become extraordinary. Most people work. They put in effort. They show up, but they work in bursts. They have weeks where they're all in, then weeks where they coast. They train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe Saturday. That's about 4 to 5 hours a week if they're serious. Now, imagine someone who's thought differently. They wake at 4 a.m., not because they have to, but because that's when the world is silent and malleable. They train from 4:30 to 6 a.m., 2 hours. Then they eat. They recover. They handle their life. By 10 a.m., they're back. Another 2 hours, 10 to 12. Lunch. Recovery. 2 to 4 p.m., 2 more hours. Evening work. Personal development. Study. Maybe another focused 2-hour session from 7 to 9 p.m. if they're chasing something specific. That's 8 to 10 hours of focused work in a single day. Not lazy work. Not scrolling between sets. Actual focused, intentional work. One person does 5 hours a week. The other does 50 hours a week. That's not a 10% difference. That's a 900% difference. Now stack that over a year. Over 5 years. The person doing 50 hours a week has invested 13,000 hours. The other person, 1,300 hours. After 5 years, the gap isn't a gap anymore. It's a chasm. And here's the brutal part. The person behind will never catch up. Not because they can't, but because every single day, the gap grows wider. They can never outwork years of deficit. This isn't motivation. This is math. Most people see the finished product, the result, the achieved goal. What they don't see is the 1,000 small decisions that led there. I didn't just train. I studied. Every craft has secrets, angles, technique, leverage, psychology. The people who become great, they obsess over these details while everyone else just goes through the motions. I read about training methods. I watched people who were better than me. I analyzed what worked and what didn't. I kept a constant audit. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Where can I improve by 1%? Then I'd do it again the next day. That's not talent. That's a systematic approach to continuous improvement. 20 years of that. Every single day. Not motivated every day. Not excited every day. But disciplined every day. There's a massive difference. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a choice. And when you have to choose between what's hard and what's easy, motivation abandons you. Discipline is what carries you through. The ones who make it to the top aren't the most talented. They're the ones who are willing to be students for longer than everyone else. They're the ones who treated their craft like a university with no graduation date. Here's something they don't teach you. Your fear is information. Whatever scares you, that's the exact direction you need to go. Not because it feels good, but because growth lives on the other side of terror. I felt it. The night before something matters. The nerves, the doubt, the voice saying, maybe you're not ready. Maybe you'll fail. Maybe you don't belong here. Every person at the highest level has heard that voice. The difference is what you do with it. Most people, they listen to that voice and they retreat. They find reasons why they shouldn't try. They build an escape route before they even started. Then they live the rest of their lives wondering what would have happened if they'd been brave enough. The alternative is harder. You acknowledge the fear. You feel it fully. And you do the thing anyway. You step toward the thing that terrifies you. And here's what happens. As you move closer to the moment, something shifts. The fear doesn't disappear, but it becomes less abstract. It becomes real. And once something is real, once you're actually in the situation, instead of imagining it, your preparation takes over. Your training kicks in. Your routine carries you. You remember, I've done the work. I've prepared. I've studied. I've trained. I'm ready. And suddenly, the fear transforms into clarity. This is where most people dismiss what actually works. They hear visualization, and they think it's some mystical nonsense. It's not. It's how your brain prepares for reality. But it has to be done right. You don't just casually daydream about winning. You live it. You feel it. You see every detail. The environment, the pressure, the sounds, the weight in your chest. You put yourself in the exact scenario that terrifies you, and you rehearse it perfectly. Down 1 point. 3 seconds left. The ball in your hands. You see it. You feel the pressure. You execute. The result. You've lived it. Then you change it. Down 2 points. Different scenario. You rehearse again. Down 3. 1 second left instead of 3. Different circumstances. You run through every possible scenario you can imagine, and you execute perfectly in your mind 1,000 times. When reality finally comes, it's not new. It's not uncertain. It's a moment you've already lived 1,000 times. Your body knows what to do. Your mind knows how to respond. The pressure that would paralyze someone else is just a familiar friend. That's not luck. That's preparation, meeting, opportunity. 90% of my days follow the same pattern. Not because I'm boring, but because consistent input produces consistent output. Wake. The body is stiff. The mind is foggy. The default is to move slowly, to ease into the day. I do the opposite. Cold. Shock to the system. Ice water. The breath catches. The body jolts alive. Then light. Eyes open. Activation. Black coffee. No sugar. No softness. Just bitter reality and caffeine. This isn't about coffee. This is about starting the day with a decision. I will do hard things today. I will feel discomfort and not retreat from it. I will train my mind to embrace the difficult. That first moment when the cold hits your skin and every nerve screams to get out, that's the moment you're forged. That's where mental strength is built. In the moments when you do the hard thing, even though nothing is forcing you to do it. Do this for a month and you'll notice something. Hard things become normal. Not easy, but normal. And the things that used to feel impossible become achievable. Your entire day shifts based on how you started. Start soft, and softness becomes your standard. Start hard, and hardness becomes your minimum. There's a quote that echoes through history. I have met the enemy, and he is me. It's true. The only thing standing between you and your potential is the version of you that's comfortable, that wants to take the easy path, that's satisfied with good enough. You have to destroy that version. Not metaphorically. Actually, every single day, you have to wake up and wage war against your own comfort. But here's what separates the truly great from everyone else. They don't just defeat themselves. They become obsessed with creating new enemies, new mountains, new things to conquer. The second you feel comfortable, the game is over. Boredom becomes the real enemy. You need a target, a challenge that scares you, something that requires you to become more than you currently are. The people at the absolute top, they understand this. They're not running from something. They're running towards something. Always. A new record, a new standard, a new version of what's possible. Without that hunt, without that constant forward motion, they deteriorate. Choose your enemies wisely, because your enemies pull out sides of you that comfort never will. Success isn't about beating people. It's not about proving them wrong or silencing critics. Success is about becoming so unavoidably excellent that you cast a shadow too large for anyone to stand in. While they're talking, you're building. While they're explaining why something's impossible, you're making it inevitable. You don't argue with them. You just expand. You grow. You become louder, not with your voice, but with your results. The critics, they don't disappear because you defeated them in an argument. They disappear because your success makes them irrelevant. They shrink into insignificance, not because you acknowledged them, but because you made them impossible to see. That's the only revenge that actually works. Let's be honest about what this costs. It costs the 6 a.m. alarm when your friends are sleeping in. It costs the lonely walk to train when everyone else is at the beach. It costs relationships that require compromise. It costs the social events you skip. It costs the nights you don't go out because you have an early morning. It costs comfort. It costs ease. It costs the ability to be ordinary. Most people see the glory and they think they want it, but they haven't priced it. They haven't counted what it actually demands. And when the bill comes due, they're shocked. They expect greatness to feel good. It doesn't. It feels like constant deprivation. It feels like everyone else is having fun and you're working. It feels lonely sometimes. It feels unfair. And then they quit. The ones who make it past that moment, they understand something fundamental. The price isn't too high. The price is exactly right, and they're willing to pay it. This is the moment that defines you. You'll face rejection, criticism, failure, people telling you that you're not good enough, that your dream is unrealistic, that you should be more reasonable, more practical, more like everyone else. That's when the real test begins. Because in that moment, you have to make a choice. You can listen to the external voices, or you can trust the internal one. You can accept their version of your limitations, or you can reject it completely. When the world says no, when it's screaming no from every direction, you have to say yes to yourself. Not arrogantly, not with delusion, but with absolute certainty that you've prepared, that you've earned the right to bet on yourself. Yes, I believe. Yes, I can do this. Yes, nothing can stop me. And you move forward anyway, not because you're guaranteed success, but because you're guaranteed failure if you don't try. The road to excellence has infinite steps. Some are solid. You can see them. You can place your foot with confidence. But others? They're invisible. They're in darkness. You can't see them, but you have to believe they're there. You take a step into the black. You might fall. You might get scarred. That step might give way to quicksand. But you have to know there's another one after it. Because winning is infinite. Growth is infinite. The journey never ends. There's always another level. Always another mountain. Always something more. The moment you think you've arrived, you've already started declining. The people who sustain excellence, they understand this. They're not running toward a finish line. They're running because the running itself is the point. The constant climb, the infinite improvement. That's the real victory. Every morning, you wake up and you make a choice. You can be comfortable. You can take the easy path. You can do what everyone else is doing and hope for different results. That's available to you. Or you can choose the other thing. You can choose to train when training is hard. You can choose to study when studying is boring. You can choose to push when pushing feels impossible. You can choose to believe in yourself when the world is screaming that you're crazy. It's not a one-time decision. It's 1,000 small decisions made every single day. The 4 a.m. wake up, the cold plunge, the extra session, the book you read instead of scrolling, the people you surround yourself with, the standards you refuse to compromise on. That's what separates people. Not talent, not circumstances, not luck, but the relentless choice to demand more from yourself than anyone else is willing to demand. You want to be great? This is what it takes. Play at your craft every single day. 2 hours, 3 hours, every single day. Not most days. Every day. Stack those days into weeks. Stack those weeks into months. Stack those months into years. Now, look at the person who trains 3 days a week for an hour. The chasm between you isn't just skill. It's a lifetime of different choices. Champions, they see themselves differently. They don't wish for success. They see it so clearly, so vividly, that they become willing to do what no one else is willing to do to make it real. That belief isn't arrogance. It's not delusion. It's earned. It's built through preparation, through sacrifice, through years of showing up when showing up was hard. When you truly believe, not hope, but believe that you can get to the summit, the climb doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like privilege because you know where you're going. You know what you're capable of, and you're willing to pay the price to get there. So the question isn't whether you can do it. The question is, are you willing? Are you willing to be uncomfortable? Every single day, are you willing to feel the fear and move forward anyway? Are you willing to sacrifice what everyone else wants so you can have what most people can't even imagine? If you are, then you already know what to do. There's an infinite staircase in front of you. The first step is visible. The rest are in darkness, but they're there. Now, take the step and then take the next one and never, never stop climbing.